Welcome to a video about Orcus, the asteroid of chopping, as I call it, because this asteroid is really about you fulfilling an oath or cutting an oath. This asteroid is called anti-Pluto because it's about endings. It's not about rebirth, it's not about resurrection. It's when you die and you die. You're gone, basically. That's Orcus. Orcus is about an ending from which there is no coming back. And the person with Orcus has a shadow. The shadow is, it's too scary for me to go there, so I won't go. I will not go into that territory. I will not actualize that aspect. I will stay in the underworld. I will stay with Pluto, because I don't want to end this. So what is Orcus trying to end? Depends on your horoscope and the placement and position of a house and sign. So let's go over the 12 signs and houses. Orcus in the first house is about somebody who doesn't have a good and easy time committing to an identity. Because Orcus, like I said, is about painful endings. So there's something that the person has to let go of in terms of who they are, how they see themselves. But there's something rigid about that person in how they identify themselves, how they see themselves. Orcus invites the person to let go of their judgment and to just be who they are. Just see themselves clearly instead of letting reality externally dictate who they are. But unfortunately, the Orcus in the first individual has a lot of persecution problems. The person feels like how I look determines who I am to myself and to other people. This may happen unconsciously. This is felt on a deeper level. The person really feels that whatever they do on the outside, whatever people see as the first impression, defines who they are. Or, on the other polarity end, because you know it's all about polarity, the person may feel that they can't be anybody. They can't let anything decide who they are. So this is an identity disorder issue with shadow of Orcus. Now this is the lower expression. What's the higher expression? Higher expression of Orcus in the first house is somebody who guides other people to reconnect to their true identity. It's somebody who acts with great compassion towards making other people find who they are, to guide them and protect other people's identity, other people's image. This person becomes becomes a warden of how other people feel about themselves. So these people make good therapists in a setting in which somebody has to get motivated to do something. Somebody has to set a goal. Somebody has to take action. And this Orcus in the first house person knows how to get that person to take action that is in their own best interest. Because the Orcus individual knows very well what it's like to act against their own best interest. And by overcoming this shadow, which says, no, you're not this, forget about it. Overcoming this shadow, the person becomes very, very good in judging other people's identity, judging who they are. This is a people person in the first house. But because the energy is so assertive, so active of that house and Aries sign, the person uses some kind of physical exercise, something they are doing in their body language to communicate who they are and to communicate safety for other people. It's all about safety with Orcus because Orcus is a psychopomp. A psychopomp is a guide who protects us in something. What is he protecting? Here, the identity. where is he guiding us? Towards ourselves, our ideal self-image, which is true, which reflects our external, which is in alignment. So to see ourselves more clearly, Orcus in the first house gives us the ability to recognize what our purpose is in our life. So that's Orcus in the first house, or Aries. Let's look at Orcus in the second house. Orcus in the second house is about somebody who, in a lower expression, has a very difficult time attaching to anything that he owns. He feels as if once he attaches to something, there's no coming back from the loss and the pain that is associated with attachment. A person afraid of attachment has also fear of possessing other people or being possessed by them. So this could be somebody who has really trouble defining a sense of values, finding out what it is that they're supposed to base their worth on, their self-worth. So these individuals, they're supposed to overcome how to have ownership issues in regards to resources, talents, skills, because this is what the second house rules. So the Orcus person here needs to chop and cut off anything that defines their value, which is not coming from themselves, which is coming from other people. Because this person is always asking other people, hey, is this good? Is this any good that I have? I don't know, please tell me. And even when other people tell them, they still can't believe that there's any worth to what they have. Now in the higher expression, Orcus in the second house, or Taurus, is aware that what they provide is not really what it's about. It's not about how much they can produce or how much they work. It's about what skills do they really have, and their ability to put those skills into practice gives them the ability to help other people access their own talents. So this is somebody who is very good at evaluating a person's function in society, a person's ability to create money, to generate wealth, to generate things. Because the Orcus individual who is higher expressed in the second house has very strong attachments, very firm boundaries, from which there's no letting go, no turning back from that. This person is committed so strongly that they are a source of stability, a source of dependability, a source of growth and nurturing and protection, and simply a source of peace and calmness to other people. This person understands the importance of being firm, being patient, and harnessing your skills slowly, and then helping other people to access those skills and develop them very slowly and patiently as well. So this is somebody who invests very well, who invests into the right project, the right business, the right proposition, and then commits it to till the end. This is somebody who has undying loyalty to their investments, because they understand that in order to see the task come to fruition, to generate wealth, they must have strong commitments. And that's all the Orcus in the second house person is really about, in a nutshell. Of course there's more to it, but it would take longer to explain in another video. This is the essence of it. Now Orcus in the third house, or in Gemini, is about what? Well, Orcus in Gemini of the third house is about finding it very difficult to say things that are uncomfortable for other people. To simply speak the truth can be troubling for the Orcus individual, because they understand that the words can cut, they can slice, they can destroy relationships. Orcus here feels prosecuted by others, But no matter how we say it, no matter how we communicate, they just can't be authentic in what they express. So whatever their thoughts are very dark, and they keep it to themselves. These are Orcus individuals who have very good skills of observation, very good perception. They know what other people are thinking, but they're also very scared of what people are thinking, because they're scared of how they are being judged for what they are thinking themselves. So in the shadow expression, Orcus here deals with issues of prosecution for what you're thinking, what you're saying, your ideas, your opinions. Maybe they're just very harsh, and you need to chop. You need to be harsh with your words. There needs to be a certain form of judgment. To channel this Orcus in the third house is to channel it into its high expression, which leads to somebody who uses his words very calmly and yet very assertively, who's very confident about his judgments, and to dishes them out no matter how other people perceive them. This is somebody who's very just, very fair in their assessments. They spend a lot of time elaborating and contemplating what is the right thing to say in this situation. And once they figure it out, they stick to it. They stick to their views. They form very, very strong opinions. Opinions so strong, nobody can challenge them on the subject. Nobody can tell them anything. It's like this person won't back down because they have researched it so much. They've spent so much time thinking about every single angle of the subject. You're not going to be able to get them to change their mind once they said it, because they know something that you don't know. They have already considered your point, and often these people, they are considered difficult by others because other people can't understand why they're so stubborn with their opinions. Well, it's because they know better. They are smarter. They have spent more time. So this is Orcus in Gemini of the third. Now let's talk about Orcus in the fourth house. In the fourth house. Yes. So Orcus in the fourth is about issues with the family, issues with security and stability at home. It's like, the thing is, the fourth house rules the roots of the tree. The roots are that which sustains us, which protects us, which nurtures us. And Orcus itself is about loyalty and protection. And the fourth house is really where we meet our clan, our closest family. And Orcus basically here is blackmailed early on. Blackmailed into being loyal excessively to people who are not actually loyal to him. So this person is expected to be loyal in a place of disloyalty. Maybe there is an issue with loyalty in the family where somebody commits to someone who's very, very bad for them, but they just can't stop, and they expect the Orcus in the fourth individual to be loyal unconditionally. So this person has a shadow in which they feel that if I don't unconditionally commit myself to this person, I am not good enough. If I don't commit 100%, why should they commit to me? So this is somebody who suffers from rigidity, from a fear that they are worthy of persecution, they are worthy of being discarded should they break the promise that they have made to be loyal to their partners and their friends and the commitments. So unlike the second house, which deals with issues of not being able to commit, fourth house is too committed. It's too committed. It's a little bit, it's like it can't let go of the root. It wants to secure a safe base. But the safe base was not really there with the parents. The safe base was dependent on the Orcus person to be undying in his loyalty. So now he feels a repetition compulsion to be loyal again. And to form a higher expression for Orcus in the fourth house or Cancer is to find a way to be loyal not to the person, not to the object, not to the thing, but to one's own true feelings about the situation, and to also be true to other people's feelings. Because Cancer is about spirituality, it's about spiritual ties, a spiritual foundation, which can't be built upon something physical. It has to be so deep with a person that their mere presence provides nurturing, empathy, and compassion to others. But before they can get to the place of compassion, they must be able to give it to themselves, which means they'll have to understand that in order to heal others is to heal themselves, to heal their safety. To feel safe with Orcus in the fourth is to form an attachment to one's own needs. So one can recognize the needs of others, so one can respect them and to nurture them and protect them. The Orcus in the fourth house individual is supposed to be a protector of the root, a protector of the gut, a protector of everything that is instinctive and intuitive, emotional decision making. This is the guide to teach people how to harness this decision making, to be loyal to one's gut, no matter the cost. And sometimes you will say, oh, why are you so irrational? Why are you so driven by emotion? But the Orcus in the fourth house person knows something that other people don't know. In the higher expression, they feel something, a very strong guidance within, a psychic sense, a knowing that deep within they can provide themselves the stability that they need. That the gut, who is in charge of the decision making, is the source of their stability. And that's not something nobody can take away. So that's Orcus in the fourth house. Let's look at Orcus in the fifth house. In the fifth. So Orcus in the fifth, or Leo, is about an issue of self-worth. Do I deserve to be committed to? Am I a source of pride? Am I a good object? Am I making other people feel good about themselves? For Orcus in the Leo person feels like they have to be loving in order to be loved. They feel as if love itself is a currency which needs to be protected and harnessed in order to be redistributed back to them. In the fifth house in Leo, the shadow of Orcus is if the person feels that, because I have this placement, so I'm really talking from my own experience, that it is through love that they'll be loved. With this placement, I think the person hasn't received the unconditional love that they needed, based on the fact that the parents didn't love them for who they are. The parents didn't love this person for expressing what they express. They loved them for something else. But it wasn't for themselves. The parent demanded to be listened to. The parent demanded that the Orcus in the fifth house person commits to them regardless if they agree or not. To ignore their own authority. Orcus here becomes a shadow in which the person doesn't recognize any authority of anybody, doesn't recognize their own authority, doesn't recognize how powerful they are, that they are a leader if they need to be, that they are a guide and a lover who is acting on themselves. This person has been shamed about being too selfish, too self-interested. And actually they have never really been allowed to be self-interested, because this is the house of joy, the fifth house. This is where we use our creativity and take pride in our skill. But Orcus here shows a fear of prosecution. But if I show myself and how good I feel about myself, if I show my self-love, I am in the wrong. Because my parents didn't show me that, so how can I expect other people to accept it when I show it to them? It's a catch that's going on here. But the higher expression is somebody who recognizes just how important it is to love yourself despite the rejection, even if one is prosecuted for it. So this becomes so loyal to self-love, so loyal to a performance, a stage act, but must be committed to. That no matter if other people don't like it, they will put on the act that they want. They will show themselves. This is somebody who doesn't hide from any confrontation. He doesn't hide from any game, any competition, any challenge. Because there's a confidence with Orcus in the 5th. But Orcus in the 5th house person feels like, or Leo, that it's through confidence, unconditional confidence, that must be protected at any cost. Unconditional self-worth that must be maintained. But only through that will they achieve what they need. Will they achieve some kind of stability. So you see there is a theme here with Orcus that a person doesn't feel safe unless they really, really enjoy who they are, what they're doing, and make other people feel the same joy that they share. They want to shine a light onto others. They are radiating self-love. It's through this radiance that they protect everyone around them and guide them back to themselves. So that's Orcus in the 5th house or in Leo. Now let's look at Orcus in Virgo or the 6th house. Now in Virgo or the 6th house, Orcus is about health, routine, lifestyle that we need to guide and protect. There's something about our health, something so precious about our refinement, our improvement of who we are and what we are supposed to do. The function must be maintained. The shadow of Orcus here is that the person is very rigid in maintaining the function that they desire, the optimal goal. Once they get the goal that they've been looking for, it's not enough. They need to keep going and going and going and going. For Orcus in the 6th house or in Virgo person feels like no matter what they do, it's never good enough. There's a perfectionist trauma here. Maybe the person has felt early on in life that only those who keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing will get the results. And should they not be perfect in their quest, they will be punished. So it's a fear of being punished for being any less than perfect and strict in work, in health, in routine. The problem is that it's here an everyday lifestyle issue. Because of course every day you have a routine. So you can't just let it go. You must find some stability here. Stability in its higher expression, Orcus in the 6th house or in Virgo finds by maintaining a higher health, a spiritual health. That can only be achieved by understanding how to reach their goal, maintain it, and be happy with the goal. This is somebody who is committed to a very specific goal with their health, and they stick to it no matter what. Nobody can tell them off or away from this objective, but they're not perfectionistic anymore. They're simply maintaining a certain level of being, a level of excellence. And it's this excellence that they strive to guide other people to, by fixing other people's issues, telling them what's wrong. Orcus in the 6th house of Virgo person has a psychic sense for what people need to change in their lifestyle, need to change in their behavior, in their work, in their routine. to simply get the goal that they are looking for, and no more and no less than that. Is no longer about controlling everything rigidly. It's just about one limit that is being reached. So that's basically it for Orcus in Virgo or 6th house. Let's look at Orcus in the 7th house. Okay. Orcus in the 7th, or in Libra, is about issues in judgment, being judged by others, judging other people, taking action based on the judgment. Orcus here finds its own sign actually, because Orcus is Anubis, the guide of the dead, who judges people on a scale to weigh the heart against the feather. So here Orcus is right at home. The most natural expression of Orcus finds its place here by becoming a people person, a people investigator, somebody who judges other people's intentions and who holds people responsible and accountable. The shadow of Orcus here is to take responsibility for everything, to take everything on, to be committed to fixing everything for the partner, to be committed to be in control of a relationship themselves. So maybe they grow up feeling as if I'm not in control, if I don't regulate, if I don't make them happy, it's just not going to work. So I'm responsible for what happens in this relationship. Of course, this is a shadow and it has to be transformed, to be channeled. Orcus here needs to understand how to give the responsibility back to the other person. It's about recognizing where they are wrong objectively, free from emotions. And free from emotions, they judge others. And this judgment can be very cold and harsh. But these people make excellent lawyers, mediators, judges of character, because they look at a person's actions. They look at what they're doing, what they've done so far. They're very calculated, like a scale, like they weigh everything, because there's something that they want to protect. They want to protect their own judgment. They want to be so accurate in their judgments that nobody can tell them that they're judging anybody wrong. So once these people judge someone, it's over. They stick to it. They're not going to change their mind about people, because they're very, very careful. They're very compassionate and very patient. And these people all usually take a long time, sometimes, to make a judgment about somebody. But once they've made it, there's absolutely no turning back. And they will make sure that those who need to be punished will get punished. So they may play the police, they may play the executive. They'll go after people. They are investigators of crimes. They are researchers of wrongdoings. They are preservers of the law, quite literally. It's a very masculine energy, so they need to take action, same as the first house. And they usually do it by involving other people, because here we are moving into the 7th house of other people. So Orcus here affects other people very strongly. It involves others. It says, no, no, no. This is what's right. You need to be on the same page. We are in this together. You are not on your own. What you do affects me. What I do affects you. So this person is so critical of other people's right and wrongdoings that they just won't, they can't let people get away with anything. They just can't. And people keep telling them, why can't you just let it go? Because they're not supposed to. They can't let it go, and they shouldn't. And this is how they get justice. And this is how they protect the law. Quite literally, which is exactly what Orcus is trying to achieve. So it's the ideal sign for this asteroid. Now we move on to Orcus in the 8th house. So the 8th house is about issues in control enmeshment, other people's resources. How dependent are we on somebody else? Orcus here says, well, if I want to get anything from other people, I need to sell my soul to them. I need to give them everything. So this person is loyal to a fault to other people. They keep their contracts. They keep their promises. No matter what they say, they're just going to stick to it because they feel like that the first sign of slipping up, the first mistake that the Orcus person makes, they're anticipating immediate retribution. That whatever they're doing wrong against others, they're going to be punished immediately. So these people, they have a lot of difficulties in the shadow here, where they feel like they need to do everything right by others. But sometimes you have feelings which get you to perform acts which are not favorable, which won't get you any favors with the other person. And the Orcus and the 8th house person has to do those things which are not in their favor of a relationship. Because Orcus in the 8th house, he wants to protect their power, their sense of control over the relationship with the other person. They want to feel like there's an undying stability here. It's the opposite to the 2nd house, which is stability of one's own resources. Here it's stability with other people's resources. The Orcus in the 8th feels like, even if that person is not really important, I need to keep them. I need to keep access to what they have. I need them. It's a kind of enmeshment almost, but not really. It's more like, I need to prove that I'm good enough to keep. So I must be very, very careful. These people have a very hard time striking against those who are close to them. They're a little bit too loyal. And the issue here is that if they want to get to the higher expression of Orcus in the 8th house or Scorpio, they need to protect transformation, which Orcus in the 8th would normally represent at first sight. I mean, if you're thinking about our 8th house Scorpio, it's about the transformation, but that's what Orcus is trying to protect. It's trying to protect growth. It's the enemy of stagnation here. Opposite of the 2nd house. In the 2nd house, it's about committing, maintaining structure, stability. Here it's about maintaining a different kind of stability, a stable growth, a stable change. So it's about protecting change no matter the cost. Protecting growth and evolution no matter the pain. And these people can be very cruel, very harsh towards others, because they don't allow other people to get away with stagnation. They won't allow them to stay stuck, those who are close to them. So these people, they guide others towards transformation of things that are necessary for them to do. And the Orcus person here, again, like the 7th houser, cannot let it go. Cannot allow the other person to stay stuck, because they can't allow themselves to be stuck, and they know this is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to guide people out of stuckness, and they can't keep anybody around who is stuck. Otherwise they feed it to the crocodile. They take the axe and they execute and they burn the bridge. So now we'll talk about Orcus in the 9th house. Yeah? 9th house, Orcus, Sagittarius. The sign of expansion, exploration, and adventure. What's Orcus trying to achieve here? Well, Orcus, of course, is about contracts that we need to keep. So somebody who feels like we need to have an optimistic outlook on life. We need to keep going. We need to keep the faith. This is somebody who feels like, I need to keep growing, I need to keep growing, I need to keep growing. I can't stay here, I can't stay here. I can't maintain my position. Can't have a limit. This is like no limit person. Because 9th house represents our ability to overcome restrictions. It's the house of ego inflation. So this person feels like in the shadow that they can't be in a place and be happy. Can't just be happy being somewhere. They need to keep going somewhere else, something higher, something more. So this person is very overly committed to growing at the cost of their mental health. Now, in its high expression, this Orcus is about actualizing growth with boundaries, reaching a limit and then maintaining it. It's very similar to the 6th house Orcus. There's a need to commit to growth, but growth that is different from just getting better and just going for new things and better things. No, here the commitment is to a philosophy that understands the meaning of what we're doing. Orcus here wants to feel good about themselves. They want to feel strong and confident and like they're big already. And they want to teach other people how to feel big about themselves, how to feel flamboyant, how to have an optimistic outlook on life, how to have faith in themselves. This person, what they despise the most is self-doubt. They want to put an end to self-doubt. Because self-doubt is the enemy for Orcus in the 9th. Because it's the opposite of faith, isn't it? It's the opposite of belief in yourself, which is Jupiter, which is the 9th house, which is why it's the house of ego inflation. These people want to be clear that they can achieve whatever they set their mind to, and they don't need to prove it to anyone. So they don't actually need to go anywhere. They don't actually need to achieve anything, because they believe that they can, regardless of whether they're actually doing it. So this is basically how it works, and this is how the Orcus person becomes a protector and a guide for others, by teaching people how to believe in themselves regardless of their actions, how to understand where they belong. Because 9th house is about going to places for pilgrimage. It's about religion. To find a place of belonging, to find a place where you have structures, rules, the law rules this house. What kind of law? Well, the law of the self, because it's a 9th house, a self-development, fire element house. The self is the law, and this person reconnects people to find the law within, so they don't need religion anymore. So he becomes the guide. He himself is the religion, the Orcus person. So that's basically it for Orcus in the 9th. Now we look at Orcus in the 10th. Or Capricorn. Now, in Capricorn of the 10th house, Orcus looks at issues of reputation, status, achievement, ambition. Well, how can we achieve status in our life with Orcus? Because Orcus is about contracts, so we feel like there's an issue with our reputation. There's a fear of losing face, of being considered a failure in the eyes of others. So this person is very committed in the shadow expression to being a success in the world externally. Because the 10th house midhaven Capricorn, they rule the outer world. How the outer world is trying to judge us and reward us, but also punish us. There's a lot of fear of prosecution in the public realm, in the career. This person feels like they have to be so structured, so getting the shit together. But it doesn't matter what they feel, it doesn't matter what they want in the shadow. This person, they will sacrifice anything for a career, no matter what. They sacrifice relationships, friends, family, loved ones, joy, children, happiness, whatever it takes. They'll stick to the success in the outer world. Perhaps there has been some kind of problem in early childhood of a parent who judges you in a way that says, nah, I don't care how you feel inside, only care about your achievement. And if you don't achieve, you will not belong to this family. We will not provide for you. We will kick you out of the house if you don't get a job at 16 or something like that. Or if you're going to go to university, we'll kick you. So quite literally, the person feels as if their life is dependent on achievement. No matter what, it's the first priority. So in its higher expression, Orcus here is committed to something else. Not the status, not the career, not the reputation, not the ambition, but to a higher consciousness. Because Capricorn in spiritual esoteric meaning is about higher consciousness that we can only achieve through focus. Focus that is calm, crystal clear. It's not about obsession. It's not about having no choice but to go there. It's about taking deliberate choices and sticking to your choices no matter what. It's becoming your own authority here. It's becoming independent, maybe an entrepreneur, maybe somebody who becomes a boss and who needs to boss others, who needs to be in charge. The Orcus and the 10th house person needs to teach other people how to be in charge of their own reputation, how to be the judge to themselves, the punisher and the rewarder themselves. So somebody who usually works in governments, in elite organizations, in some kind of place where his job is literally to judge, punish, and reward other people for their actions. Because it's also the house of duty and responsibility. Here we have a very similar fashion to the 7th house, but instead of focusing on a single person, Orcus in the 10th, they focus on the bigger picture. How can I affect society as a whole? How can I take responsibility for what's happening on my platform? What's happening around in my job, with the people around me? How can I protect my people, my family becomes my colleagues, the people who go on my content, who buy for my services, who pay for my goods, people who work for me, or whoever I work for becomes that which I need to protect. It's no longer about the reputation. It's about the people themselves as being resources to the Orcus and the 10th house person and in Capricorn. And ambition is achieved through some kind of independence of duty, because this person becomes too dutiful. Generally speaking, they are the kind of housewife, or they always go to work, they never go sick. But they need to go sick. They need to stop themselves. They need to burn out, so to speak. And this is how they usually find some kind of redemption in the fact that it doesn't matter what other people think they are. All that matters is that they believe themselves to be stable and dependable and an authority. It's not about others here. It's not about the image here. So these people chop the image. They don't care about the image anymore, and they help other people to also not care about it as well. So they can actually have success in the outer world. So now Orcus in the 11th, yes, or Aquarius. Now Orcus in this is about friends, contracts, hopes, wishes, dreams, things we will fulfill only for the collective. So the collective consciousness is trying to work against us. We are being prosecuted here again for our beliefs and our ideas, which we share to the group, we want to share to others. But it seems like we are a misfit, and we become a guide for other misfits. We gather with the misfits. We don't belong to any specific group. We are like nomads traveling from place to place, never feeling satisfied with any career, feeling always on the outskirts. Now the shadow expression for Orcus in the 11th is feeling as if the only way to achieve some kind of success with your friendships and your group work, to actually maintain your friendships, is to be loyal to a fault, to make sure that you are always a friend no matter what other people do. So of course this is pathological, and in its higher expression, Orcus is actually about dictating what a friend is and isn't supposed to be. They become a friend to others who are a friend to them. So the Orcus person only commits to those who are really friends. They become a guide in determining who got their back, who's really on the same page. Because the Orcus person here wants teamwork, wants cooperation. They actually despise rebels. They despise people who are bullies, who threaten the harmony and stability of the group. They want to become a source of stability, a source of strength, of protection for other people around them, so that they can help them to have better relationships, better friends, so they can get what they want, also with the help of other people. This is a community figure who regulates people around them, because he's not satisfied with superficial relationships that are built on nothing, that are built on simply codependency or something, I don't know. And the 11th house is really about this whole Borg hive mind consciousness is something Orcus in this house, they don't like this kind of consciousness, but they also see a need to find a way to make everyone work within the group. And if somebody doesn't fit, they won't even allow them into the group. They'll be the ones who say, no, I want nothing to do with this person. If you are friends with them, I will not be friends with you. So this is somebody who dictates loyalty in a social setting. It's the collective consciousness, the 11th house. So it has to be for collective. The Orcus person doesn't think about themselves. They think about, if this friend of mine is friends with them, I can't be friends with them. Even if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. It affects them. I just can't allow it to happen. So that's Orcus here. Now the last house. Now Orcus in the 12th, or Pisces. It's curious, because the collective unconscious, the invisible realm, mental asylums, hospitals. How does Orcus, what kind of oath do you keep here? An oath of non-judgment, an oath of compassion, an oath of, I need to let people get away with stuff. I need to heal people. But I heal them through dissolution, dissolving boundaries, letting go. So the shadow here would be somebody who feels that they need to let go no matter what happens. Like, it's only through letting go that healing can be achieved. Maybe growing up they had to let go of a lot of stuff. This is a very difficult place, and there's a lot of karma with this Orcus attached, because the family kept a lot of things under the rug. They didn't want to address openly anything. So the Orcus in the 12th house person feels like, no, we don't deal with things, we let go, and then they will dissolve, which of course they don't. But it's how we survived. Something worked. Somehow in childhood this thing worked. If we just sacrifice, if we just commit to self-negation, somehow this is going to keep the peace at home. It's a very difficult place, and because this Orcus, to have it, Orcus means but everything else that you tried growing up has failed, that there was no solution. There's no solution. So that the only setting that you could fall back on to do nothing, to take pride in doing nothing, to become an outsider, to become an observer of behavior, but never to interfere, to never take matters into your own hands, to never place judgment upon another person. That's the shadow here. The higher expression is, of course, that even though this person maintains the compassion, they judge the lack of compassion in others. Because again, we are dealing with a collective here. It's not about them. When the Orcus person here sees that somebody else is lacking compassion, lacking connection, lacking their ability to heal themselves, when somebody is not dealing with their shadows, because Orcus and Virgo is very comfortable with their own shadows, they're very comfortable with other people's shadows, but in higher expression, they can't let other people stay in their shadows. And that's how they have compassion for others. Not a fake compassion, but it's like, oh yeah, we just need to give it peace. But the real compassion of saying, no, 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 this is wrong. You may not see this, but you need to change it. And if you don't, then the chopping happens, okay? In the 12th house, it's about recognizing where other people are afraid to look. And you're not afraid to look at all with this Orcus placement. You're very, very comfortable in seeing things that are really, really unconscious and very dark. Because Orcus here deals with demonic interferences, nightmares, psychic things that happen in the astral realm, that affect groups and groups of people, where everybody deals with a very specific thing, and the only way to get rid of it is to do some serious self-healing, some serious unconscious work. So these people like Orcus in the 1st house, they make very good therapists if they want to. But if they don't want to, they are very good at bringing karma to other people. It's the house of karma. Here you want to protect other people from their own unconscious actions. And the way you do that is to expose their actions. Okay, Orcus here exposes and punishes for unconscious behavior. Won't let it go, can't let unconscious actions go. Even if other people are not aware of what they're doing, you can't let go of what you feel deep inside, even if nobody can see anything. So Orcus here is focusing on that which is not shared, which is not expressed. So the Orcus in the 12th house Pisces person may say, oh, I'm feeling there's something off about this person. Not sure why, I can't prove it, but I am committed to this feeling that tells me that there's something off. I'm going to listen to that no matter what. So this person becomes dead set on what they're intuiting about people. And they're going to deliver some kind of punishment, some kind of justice for that feeling. It's very vague, very hard to grasp. It's a very difficult place to embody because there's so much illusion in this realm. And other people don't understand this Orcus at all. It can't be explained, it can only be felt. It's a water element placement. So that's basically it, yeah. Orcus through all the houses, all the signs. Yes. So now that you understand Orcus through the houses and signs, you understand the need to simplify. To make it things simple. Orcus is not really difficult to understand. It's really something that we're committed to which is not good for us. What is the shadow side of a house? If you know the shadow side of a house, then you know the shadow of Orcus. Committing to something that is not good for us, so we must commit to the higher expression of that house. And that's all we need to do. Okay? Because either way we need to commit. Undying loyalty is what Orcus is about. Well, loyalty to what? What is the goal here in this house? What is the purpose of the 12th house, the 1st house, What is the purpose of identity? Why should we be loyal to an identity? Only by understanding the purpose can you actually be loyal. Because without understanding, there is no loyalty. So that's how you integrate Orcus for the signs and houses. Now, if you like this video and if you are interested in a reading, you can reach out to me on Messenger, on Facebook. I'm open 24/7 for readings, consultations, questions and answers about astrology. And if you want to watch more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe. And see you in the next video.